of those who are still hostages, 59 people, some of whom may not be alive, but are still not released, that some of them couldn't even do a Seder again. Last year they imagined that this year everybody would be together, and they are not. And so that's heavy on our hearts. Many of you have heard about the new tradition that they were trying to start about a lemon on the Seder plate. And we'll talk more about the lemon on the Seder plate. It's a different kind of bitter. It leaves a sour taste. It's hard. But because we can experience this now, we know what it's like. It's our time now. We are in a world where we know that there are people who are not free, hostages and others, and it's on our watch now. Some of it is that we feel helpless. And some of it, we still want to enjoy. We still want to celebrate. So we have a Haggadah. We have a Seder. Much of the Seder you may recognize, and some of it I hope you won't. I hope that it inspires you to think and to talk to each other. If you talk too much, you may not hear us. We get louder, I guess. I'm hoping that you're going to want to participate. There's all kinds of things that I thought I was going to get you to do for me, like pass the microphones around and things. But most people at the congregational Seder want me to do the work for you. That's why you're here. For how many people is this the first time you've been to a congregational Seder? Okay. And how many people are used to having a Seder at home? For how many people is this the first Seder you've ever been to? Okay, thank you. I'm glad you're here. In my family, we always had someone who had never been to a Seder before. Always. Part of the point is that we are people who ask a lot of questions, and we're encouraged to ask questions. So I hope you've got questions, and I hope that the people at the table can fake answers or then come to me and I'll give you some answers. So if you open up to page 3, I just did kind of an overview of what page 2 says, but if you open up to page 3, you will see that those are the steps that have to be completed for us to finish a Seder. It says that there are 14 steps, but the truth is there's one that comes before the 14, where we bless candles. Today is a very unusual thing. We are supposed to be ending Shabbat. Pretend that it's really dark out right now, okay? We're supposed to be ending Shabbat, and we're supposed to be starting a holy day. Now, normally at the end of Shabbat, there's a ceremony we do which is called Havdalah. And at Havdalah, it means separation. We separate between the holy and the everyday. But today, we're going from holy to holy. So truly, this Havdalah is literally a separation between the holy and the holy. So normally for Havdalah, we have 4 things. We have 4 special blessings. We bless wine, we bless candles, which is a special twisted, braided candle. We bless the spices, and we then put out the candle into the wine. We are going to have wine, and we're going to have candles, but we're not going to have Havdalah candles. We're going to have these candles, the same kind of candles we use for other holy days and for Shabbat. So we are going to say the beginning of the blessing. Has everybody filled up 1 cup of wine and not drunk it yet? So fill up a cup of wine, grape juice. I'm going to brag about this cup. This cup is 65 years old now. It's got my name, my initials, and my birthday. Rabbi Listokin gave this to me when I was born. I've been using it for 65 years. So we may not feel very free today, where there's a lot we're not supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be drinking indiscriminately. We're supposed to have 4 cups of wine, and there are blessings for each of them. You're supposed to be pouring the wine for somebody else. And there's a lot of waiting, and I don't mean the people who are there to help us at our tables. I mean, sometimes we have to say the blessing and wait. Sometimes we have to wait for everybody to pass the stuff to us. There's a lot of waiting. So I will know when everybody's got a cup. When you lift up the cup, everybody lifting up the cup, And we're going to sing the first blessing. First, we'll say it in English so you know what we're singing. For those of you who are not so hot at the Hebrew part, that's okay, we got you. So the English is always there and the transliteration is always there. In English, we are saying the first line, praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. And instead of all of that Hebrew, we're going to say the English at the top of page 5. Praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has chosen us from all peoples, exalting us and sanctifying us with mitzvot. In your love, our God, you have given us feasts of gladness and seasons for joy. This feast of matzot, our season of freedom, a holy commemoration, a reminder of the exodus from Egypt. You have chosen us from all peoples, consecrating us to your service, giving us festivals, a time of gladness and joy. Praised are you who sanctifies Israel and the festivals. And then you see the thing that says matzahs on there? Don't drink the wine yet. You have to wait for the shechianu. I'm going to put the cup down, though, for a sec, and we're going to do the candle blessing. And these candles are for Havdalah, but there are two candles here, but they're not intertwined. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei meorei ha'esh. Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fire's light. And we're going to continue on the next page on 6 in English. And I love that you're reading with me. Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe. You distinguish between holiness and dailiness, between light and darkness, between Israel and the nations, between the 7th day and the 6 days of creation, between the holiness of the Shabbat and the holiness of festival days. You sanctify the 7th day from the 6 days of creation. You distinguish and make holy your people Israel. Blessed are you, our God, who distinguishes between holiness and holiness. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavdil ben kodesh lekodesh. We're not going to be taking that out. We're going to say, we have to say another blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov. Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who makes our lives holy with your commandments and commands us to kindle these holy day lights. Baruch atah Adonai, lift up the cup again, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechayanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We drink the first of 4 cups to recall God's promise of redemption. God said what? I am Adonai, and I will redeem you from the burdens of the Egyptians. Now you drink the first cup of wine. The whole cup? Well, if you have to, you have to, but I'm going to drink my whole cup. Refreshing. Page 7. According to ancient custom, we wash our hands, but no blessing is recited. Washing our hands is a way of showing that we hope to purify our hearts, not just our hands. It's also a way of feeling clean and ready to take part in the Seder. We now have a new tradition, which isn't new anymore, is it? We now have a tradition of, instead of passing around a cup with water like this 2-handed cup with water that we pour onto our hands and into the bowl, instead of doing that for every person at the table, we are passing around some hand cleaner, which is on your table. We plan to pass over many plates and foods to each other, but we do not want to be plagued with illness. So wash your hands, no blessing right now, an ancient lesson for all time. We've been doing that since before the pandemic, by the way. Yikes. Awesome. Thank you. So if you notice, a lot of the things on your table are symbolic of stuff. I love when we have an experience that allows us to use our senses. So we've already tasted some wine. We've already seen the beautiful glow of the candles. We've felt some hand washing. And we're hearing my melodious voice. Thank you. We heard each other's voices also. But when we look out at our Seder plate, we see a variety of colors. And we are about to experience what it feels like and tastes like to experience the spring. I have to tell you, has anybody ever had a Passover in the snow? Anybody? So yeah, I have. I have. My sister was at our Zoom Shabbat morning, and she's in Newburgh, New York, upstate New York, and it's snowing there today. I have had a number of Passovers where we've had to drive through blizzards to get to home. So be grateful that spring here feels like spring here, that the azaleas have bloomed and are almost all gone. I mean, that's crazy. But it looks like spring outside. It feels like spring outside. And now we're going to taste spring. So we taste the greens of spring. We're going to take parsley, and we're going to dip it into the salt water, which is at your table. And don't eat it until after you say the blessing. That's kind of the key here. Don't eat, don't drink until you say the blessing. So I'm always trying to challenge you to do new things. Can you explain the green of new plant growth and tears of sadness and joy in a new way? You know, this year we have a new reason for sadness. You have? No. So you take them, you dip them into the salt water. Before we eat the greens, we say the blessing for vegetables, which is the blessing for the fruit that comes from the ground. Someone said it shouldn't be called fruit. So we were kind of translating it a new way, if you call it the produce of the earth. How's that sound? Is that okay? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'adamah. Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the earth. Eat it. But you have to lean to the left when you eat it. Lean to the left, lean to the left. You have to eat to the left. Slaves could not relax when they ate. We eat comfortably, and we remember that we are free. We're on page 8. In Egypt, we were poor and we had to divide our portions. Now we remember to share our portions with those who are hungry or poor. So I have a plate here with 3 matzahs on it, and it's and everything else on it too. It's a little bit precarious here. So I'm going to take the middle matzah. Everybody has to see it. If you have matzah on your table, you're welcome to take some too. We just can't. We're not supposed to hide more than the afikomen from the head table. So I'm breaking it. Half of it is going to be, oh, look, not on the perforations, I told you. Why do we hide part of the matzah? We save it somewhere else for later. In a sense, it's like investing in our future. Can you think of other things that we save for later? I talked about that a minute ago. There's a lot of things that we are going to be waiting for. We're not eating anything yet. Why do we break our matzah before we even get to tell about it or eat it? The rabbis teach, and you're supposed to help me with all the italicized parts. Please read with me. Israel was redeemed from Egypt because of these merits. Our ancestors did not change their names. Our ancestors did not change their language. We set aside the broken portion of the matzah to remember that what seems lost may be recovered, and what seems broken may be a blessing. So when we say we didn't change our names, it meant that from the time of Jacob, we had Hebrew names. And we kept having Hebrew names even though we lived in slavery for 400 years. That's a pretty powerful thing to say. And so we kept our names and we didn't change our language. We continued to speak Hebrew among us. ourselves. So can you think of an example of something that seems lost or broken but became a blessing? These are questions that we don't have time to stop and read now and answer, but think about them because you may want to answer them while we're eating. So then you lift the plate with the 3 matzahs, and we're going to tell a story. Can you come help? I need this one. And be very careful. So we're going to say, halach ma'anya. Anybody do this in Aramaic? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's got that. He said, Aramaic, what? I got this. I know. This is matzah, the bread of affliction, the bread of poverty and sorrow that our ancestors ate when they were slaves in the land of Egypt. Matzah is a special bread made without leaven or yeast, so it cannot rise. We eat matzah because it reminds us that we had to escape from Egypt so quickly that there was no time for bread to rise. It also reminds us of the poor food we ate when we were slaves. Let anyone who is hungry come and eat. Let anyone who is a stranger, anyone in need or want, share with us the hope of Passover. For we know how it feels to be a stranger in a strange land. Now we feel as if we were still like slaves. Next year, we hope to be truly free. We put down the matzah. Put down the matzah. Put down the matzah if you want to continue the Seder. Sorry. Please pour the 2nd cup of wine. We do not drink it yet, but it's a good time to start pouring. Anybody here especially good at the 4 questions? Who's really good at the 4 questions? Who's really good at the 1 question and the 4 responses? Anybody? I usually pick on the kids and make them help me. You want me to pick on the kids? I'm not going to pick on the kids. I'm going to pick on everybody. Everybody, please help me do the 4 questions on page 9. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol haleilot mikol haleilot shebachol halelot anu achlin chametz umatzah. Chametzu matzah. Here comes the banging part. Halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh, kulo matzah. Halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh, kulo matzah. So we're going to say that in English too. Why is this night different from all other nights? First question is supposed to be, on all other nights, we can eat chametz and matzah. Tonight, why can we only eat matzah? Shebachol halelot anu ochlin she'ar yirakot she'ar yirakot halayla hazeh maror maror halayla hazeh maror maror. Read the 2nd question. On all other nights, we can eat any vegetables. Tonight, why do we have to eat bitter herbs? Shebachol halelot ein anu matbilin afilu pa'am achat. Afilu pa'am achat. Halayla hazeh, shetei amim. Halayla hazeh, shetei amim. On all other nights, it says we don't dip herbs even once. It doesn't say that. That's not what it says. It says we don't dip at all. It doesn't say that either. It says we don't mix our food. It's ridiculous. Of course we do. Anybody heard of like French fries? Anybody heard like we dip, we mix? Yeah, that's what I was saying, Theo. We do this all the time, but we are going to ask questions. And my question here is, why are we asking that question? But it says on all other nights, we don't dip herbs even once. Tonight, why do we dip twice? We just dipped one time. We dipped parsley into salt water, and we got to figure out what the 2nd time is. Herbs? Really? What? We'll see. We'll figure this out. Shebachol halelot anu ochlin ben yoshvin uven misubin. All right, you got to do it like this. Wait. You have to go like this. Ben yoshvin, and sit up straight. Uven misubin, and lean over. You lean to the left. Ben yoshvin uven misubin and bang. Halayla haza, halayla haza, kulanu. Lean to the left, misubin. Halayla haza, halayla haza, kulanu misubin. On all other nights, we either sit up straight or we lean. But tonight, we have to lean. Woohoo! That's why we've got our handy dandy pillows here. When we were at home, we'd always have a pillow. Now I've got this Matzah Man pillow. Happy Matzah Man. Lean to the left on your pillow. You didn't bring your pillow? Ha! What can I say? I thought about this. So it says this year we have many more questions about Israel, about hostages, about wars, about safety. Which questions are most important to ask tonight, and which answers can we find together? All right, do you want to read these 4 children things? There's a lot of options about the 4 children, and I didn't bring my stuff. So I'm going to give it to this table to do the 4. Who's reading the first one? You guys get to read this. Who's the first kid? The wise kid. Here, you be wise. Go, somebody be wide. Pass it around.
The wise child is curious and asks, what are the specific guidelines and rules about Passover? What is it that we are supposed to learn from this holiday?
We try to teach this child everything we know. Pass it. It's your table job. You pick whoever gets to be wicked. I didn't do it.
The wicked child doesn't seem to care about Passover or any of our traditions or stories and asks, why are you doing these weird things? What do I care about Passover?
If someone tries to alienate themselves from what others are doing, it's sometimes difficult to include them. We need to try to find a way to let this child see how it is about all of us, not just about them. It doesn't usually help to answer, well, with that attitude, you wouldn't have been freed. You see, some Haggadah say that. This is for what God did for us. If you were there, you wouldn't have been freed. The Haggadahs we grew up with, that's what it said. That's right. That's not what we say here. That's Maxwell House is right. Indeed, I still use those, but I try not to. So we say, you wouldn't have been freed if you had that attitude. So what's the next one? Who's simple?
The simple or innocent child is full of wonder and asks, what is going on? Why is everything so different? Why is everyone doing these strange things?
We try to use the child's imagination by saying, I do this because it reminds me about when I left Egypt. Try to imagine when you left Egypt with me.
The child who doesn't know how to ask questions or is too young or shy or unable to ask anything.
We help them experience our story and the Seder. We use all of our senses during the Seder to help this simple child realize what a wonderful thing it was to celebrate how God freed us from slavery and how awesome it is for us to celebrate together. We find a wonderful way to tell them the story, even if they can't ask about it. So obviously, which one do you think you are in all of this big grand scheme of things? In the Torah, it talks about having to answer your children. And we think about this, even from the Torah, it tells us we're supposed to do this. And we think about the variety of people that we have to talk to about all of this. So which child are you? And what answers would you give? Answers often require background information. We begin to answer our questions by explaining our background information. Here is a very brief history of how we got to be slaves and how we got to be free. Do you remember being part of the story? We tell it to remember who we were and who we are. It says in every generation we are obligated to feel as if we ourselves left Egypt. We're going to say that over and over. All right. Sandy, I'm going to challenge you. No, I got this one. Watch. Ready? We're going to tell it briefly. So it goes like this. A long time ago, the people prayed to idols. Abraham chose to believe in God. God entered into covenant with Abraham and his wife Sarah. God promised them that they'd be the beginning of a great people. They had a son named Isaac who married Rebekah and followed in the ways of his parents. Their sons were Esau and Jacob. Jacob followed in the ways of his parents and grandparents. He married Leah and Rachel and many children. One of his sons was Joseph. Joseph's brothers were jealous of him and sold him. Joseph was taken to Egypt, where Joseph's brothers were jealous of him and sold him. Joseph was taken to Egypt, where he eventually became the viceroy of the Pharaoh in Egypt. He helped to make Egypt a powerful country, especially at a time when there was no food anywhere else. His brothers came to Egypt looking for food and found their long-lost brother Joseph. His father Jacob and all of Jacob's family came to Egypt to live. They lived happily for many generations. Then a Pharaoh came into power who did not remember Joseph and the important things Joseph did for Egypt. The Pharaoh made all of Jacob's family and the children of Israel work for him as slaves. We worked terribly hard as slaves for more than 400 years. Then God heard our cries for freedom and finally brought us out of the land of Egypt and out of slavery. Woo. I know a few people who could read that fast. I think Sandy's one of them. That's why I was challenging Sandy. Did you beat me? It was good? Thank you. Okay, this is a very brief retelling of the story that's found in the Torah. Do you know more details? Yeah, we know more details. What's your favorite part? The part where the rabbi doesn't even breathe when she reads it that fast? What do you think is the most important part? And I mean of the story. All right, so now we're supposed to cover the matzahs. Cover the matzahs. I thought we had a thing here. Did you cover up your matzahs? Yes, it's already covered. It's in a box, right? Covered. Lift up the wine. We still don't drink it for a while. And I didn't pour my second one. Sorry. And what we're going to do is, if you're, whoa, cup runneth over. If you were with us on Friday night, or if you watched our service, you will see that we did something special. There's a Haggadah that I'm starting to like a lot, called the Jubilong Haggadah. And in it, they sang these kinds of songs. So we're going to replace that song. Take us out of Egypt, free us from slavery, bake us some matzah in a haste. Don't worry about flavor, give no thought to taste, 'cause it's rush, rush, rush to the Red Sea. If we don't cross, it's a shame, for it's 10 plagues down and you're out at the Pesach Games. Okay. So I've got copies for you to do this, but I didn't print enough for everybody. That would have been a good idea, but I didn't. I printed enough for everybody at service on Friday. We did these on Friday. Then you uncover the matzah again and you put down your cup. And this is a song that we're supposed to sing, but I was going to replace all of our songs with other songs. I thought that might be fun. So maybe you'll like this or not. You'll have to come back next year to do the traditional songs. There's no Seder like our Seder, like no Seder I know. Everything about it is halachic, nothing that the Torah won't allow. Listen how we read the whole Haggadah. It's all in Hebrew, 'cause we know how. There's no Seder like our Seder. We tell a tale that is swell. Moses took the people out into the heat. They baked the matzah while on their feet. Now, isn't that a story that just can't be beat? Let's go on with the show. Let my people go. So pretend we sang the songs that it says in here, because it's too embarrassing if we didn't really finish everything at the end. There are 10 plagues that God sent to Egypt to convince the Pharaoh to let the children go. So the kids ask me this, and I hope that the grown-ups think to ask this as well. And they say things like, what about the Egyptians? What about them? Did they have to suffer so much? Did there have to be 10 plagues? What about the people who maybe were innocent that didn't have to get punished by all the plagues? And I love that our kids ask those questions. And I hope that our adults are asking those questions too. And we acknowledge that we don't like suffering. We don't like anybody suffering. So one of the ways we acknowledge that is we take our wine, which is a symbol of joy, and we show that our joy is diminished because other people hurt. So when we say these plagues, my tradition in my family is you take your pinky and you dip it into the wine and then you put a drop onto your plate. And you don't, and your cup is diminished by those 10 plagues that hurt other people. So we say these plagues together. We say dam, blood, vardea, frogs, kinim, lice, arov, beasts, devel, whoops, I missed, cattle disease, shachin, boils, barad, hail, arbe, locusts, choshech, darkness, makat bechorot, death of the firstborn. And then we unceremoniously lick our fingers. You know that my ex used to get very mad at us. Why are you licking those plugs? He called them plugs because, Italian. God's mighty wonders and awesome powers freed us from the land of Egypt and then saved us from the Sea of Reeds and the Pharaoh's armies once again. When we were safely across the sea, we were so overjoyed we burst into song. We're going to sing this one. Cleaning and cooking and so many dishes, out with the chametz, no pasta, no knishes, fish that's gefiltered, horseradish that stings. These are a few of our Passover things. Matzah and karpas and chopped up charoset, shank bones and kiddush and Yiddish neuroses, tanta who kvetches and uncle who sings. These are a few of our Passover things. When the plagues strike, when the lice bite, when we're feeling sad, we simply remember our Passover things, and then we don't feel so bad. Motzi and maror and trouble with pharaohs, famines and locusts and slaves with wheelbarrows, matzah balls floating and matzah balls floating and eggshells that cling. These are a few of our Passover things. When the plagues strike, when the lice bite, when we're feeling sad, we simply remember our Passover things, and then we don't feel so bad. All right, but this one we're going to do. So this is one of my favorite concepts of the Seder, and it is one that I have to remind myself all the time because it goes in two different directions here. One is that if God had freed us, that would have been awesome, and that would have been enough for us. But God didn't just free us. God freed us and took us across on dry land through this wall of water on two sides. That would have been enough for us. And then the soldiers who were pursuing us did not get to pursue us anymore, shall we say. That would have been enough for us. And then we got Torah, and then we got Shabbat, and each one of these things, normally in the Maxwell House Haggadah, it's a whole page long of stuff that we're supposed to talk about. In ours, it only talks about 3 things, but I'm going to challenge you to see this in another way. I really want you to take every day and think about what are you so grateful for that you could say, that would have been enough. That would have been enough for me. That would have been enough. But I also want you to give yourself a little bit of a break. And sometimes when all of the pieces to the Seder that you thought you were going to be doing didn't all fall into place, you could say, that's okay. Dayenu, we did our best and it is good enough. It's not just enough for us, but it's good enough for us. It's okay. So we're going to sing this one because we're not going to not do this. Ilu hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim, hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim, dayen. Everybody, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Daenu, daenu, a little higher. Ilu natan lanu et hashabat natan lanu et hashabat daenu. Again, daenu, 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 daenu. Daenu, 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 goilu natan lanu et hatoira natan lanu et hatoira daenu 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 daenu. If we sung that one time, that would have been enough for us, but we do it at least 3 times. And now it's going to be impossible for you not to be singing that all week. You're welcome. So we next look at our Seder plate. Over the years, the communities around the world have been adding their own symbolic foods to the Seder plate to keep modern day struggles in mind, even as they commemorate our ancient one. These are some of the ones that people are doing. I know people that because I put it in my Haggadah, we found it, they are doing all of this on their Seder plate. And I hope that you're thinking about other things also. What are the most important struggles that you know of today? And how would you commemorate them as a symbol on your Seder plate? So, and we don't have them all on here. We have it in our book. An orange, which is about inclusion of the LGBTQ Jews. Fair trade chocolate, cashews, support for our troops, olives, yearning for peace between Israelis and Palestinians, bananas. It says standing with refugee. I don't know why it's not standing with the refugee or with the refugees or something, but I took it from someplace. Pine cones, calling out for criminal justice reform. Mirror, accepting yourself as who you are and accepting others as who they are. And this year, we've added a yellow lemon to remind us how sour it is to live unknowing what's going to happen next for those hostages. We have a table here. You may remember last year there were whole areas that were set up with chairs that were empty for the hostages. We have a table set here with a light reminding us always to be praying for their release. And we remember that, so we have a chair here, table there, to remind us of those the hostages. So what's on your table? Understanding the things on the Seder plate helps us take the journey from slavery to freedom each year. I'm going to talk about the things on the plate. I want you to think about if you have other explanations for what's on your plate or other things that should be on your Seder plate. But first we're going to do this one. Roasted shank bone, hard-boiled egg, karpas and charoset, bitter herbs, roasted shank bone, hard-boiled egg, karpas and charoset, bitter herbs. Point to them, bitter herbs. Roasted shank bone, I got it. Roasted shank bone, hard-boiled egg, and roasted hard-boiled egg. Karpas and charoset, bitter herbs, bitter. One more time. Roasted shank bone, hard-boiled egg, karpas and charoset, bitter herbs. And if I make this side of the room sing one part and this one, no, I'm just kidding. I am just kidding. But those, I hope you were pointing, because if you did that, we could skip this whole page now. The zroa is a roasted shank bone, and you don't have one on your plate because I have the symbolic roasted shank bone here. It's a chewy roasted shank bone. It's supposed to be a dog bone-ish, but we didn't put shank bones on everybody's plates this year, and I've got the shank. This is what I like to call the symbolic shank bone. That's symbolic of the shank bone. That's symbolic of the thing that the shank bone is symbolic of. So we just finished the experience of taking that lamb into our places, our humble slave homes, and we ate that lamb. We were supposed to eat all of it. God told us to keep that lamb in our house for 3 days and then eat it. And this is what that bone reminds us of. Maror, can you find your maror? So there's two. There's the kind that you can dip, and then there's this one. That's maror. That's good. It's the bitter herb, Chatzeret is also maror. Sometimes we have two kinds of celeries or things on our plates. I never thought it was fair when we went to Italy. They'd never heard of horseradish when I got there, and all they had was like this bitter leaf. That didn't feel bitter to me. And the beitzah is the roasted, hard-boiled egg. It's a symbol of life and renewal, and it reminds us of the offerings that our ancestors did when the temple was still standing. And then we have the story of the 5 rabbis. So could you picture a Seder that goes on for hours and hours and hours? Yeah. Anybody ever have to sit through a Seder that goes on for hours and hours? And when you sat through your Seder where it went for hours and hours, didn't it sound like this? Manischewitz, baby. So imagine that there were 5 rabbis. They were the head rabbis of the time, and they were together for a Seder, and they were still at it until the morning. So what if these were not rabbis that were just really picky about making sure every single thing was read? What if they had a Seder? Let's see. In many Haggadot, we read a story about 5 rabbis, and here are their names. And if you got those names, if it came to you, oh my goodness. But it's Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Tarfon. Maybe some of you recognize those names, but they were the biggest names in rabbi. They had like cards you could collect about them. No, just kidding. They had a Seder that lasted until the morning, and their students had to tell them that it was time for the morning prayers. These 5 Talmudic sages aren't just random wise men. They're the wisest rabbis in the period directly following the destruction of the temple in 70 CE by the Romans. Boo. How come nobody said boo? By the Romans. Boo. Thank you. The temple had just been destroyed, and these rabbis were sitting at the Seder after the temple was destroyed, and they were trying to figure out, what do we do now? It wasn't a leisurely Seder, or about rabbis who are so religious they don't know when to end their Seder. It was probably, partially, a discussion on how to continue and sustain Judaism now that its beating heart, which was the temple in Jerusalem, was no more. If nothing else, we should learn from these men that even in the shadow of a great tragedy, faith and friendship always find the way forward. We go through that sometimes. We have tragedy in our lives. It may not be, some people lose their homes, some people lose their jobs, some people lose their family, and we figure out how to move on. Sometimes it feels incapacitating. And sometimes we just have to make it work. It helps if we could do some of this together. It helps to know we're not in this alone. We've got to figure this out. Now we lift up the wine cup again. In every generation, each of us must see ourselves as if we ourselves came out of Egypt, as it is written. And you shall tell your child on that day, saying, this is what God did for me when I came out of Egypt. It says that in Exodus. We're quoting. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One who's praised, did not redeem only our ancestors, but delivered us as well. As it is said, God redeemed us from that place in order to bring us out and to give us the land that God had promised to our ancestors. Wait, that's in Deuteronomy. That's a long time ago that we said that. So the 4 cups of wine represent 4 different kinds of quotes about how God took us out of Egypt. In this case, we say, we drink the 2nd cup of wine to recall God's promise of liberation. God said, I will deliver you from their bondage. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe. You create the fruit of the vine, l'chaim. I look so much more powerful when I can down my cup in one gulp. Don't do the close-up. It says we have to wash our hands before we eat. This time we're going to wash our hands, but it reminds us how important it is to make a fresh start. This time we're going to say the blessing before we wash our hands again. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe. You make us holy by giving us commandments, and in this case, you commanded us about washing our hands. So this year we had an amazing experience. Some of you got to experience it with us about writing in the Torah. And the rabbi who came told us that the commandments don't mean just mitzvot, don't just mean commandments, that you're ordered to do things, but it means opportunities. Every mitzvah is an opportunity for us to get closer to God. An opportunity. Every mitzvah. So if God tells us that we're supposed to have a Seder and we're like, tonight, I was going to go out tonight. We say, yeah, this is an opportunity for us to get closer to God. So look for the opportunities. It says we pass around pieces from the top and middle matzot, and we wait for both of the next blessings before we eat the matzah. Once you have your matzah and are waiting for everyone else to get their piece so that we can say the blessing and finally eat some matzah, see if you can find the one thing that doesn't belong in the odd one out picture. These pictures, and you're going to see them in the back too, are from Sari Kapitnikoff, and she gave me permission to put them in our Haggadah. She was actually very honored we did that. So make sure everybody's got some of the matzah. Don't eat it yet. Some matzah. We're going to use this for a couple of things. Don't eat it all when it's one time. And we're on page 16. So take a good look, because for the next week, this is your bread. Yum, perforations and all. This is your bread. So on page 16, it says, we always thank God for giving us bread to eat. We say, praised are you, our eternal God, who brings forth bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. But this time we add another blessing before we eat. We say, praised are you, our eternal God, who made us holy with your commandments and commanded us about eating matzah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Eat that matzah. Yay! Eating matzah. Everybody get a little bit of horseradish on some matzah. You have to have it. It's going to make smoke come out of your ears and your nose run and eyes hurt, but you have to have a little bit on here. But think about this, that God commanded us to eat matzah, which means God gave us an opportunity to get closer to God by eating matzah. And it's a little bit harder to imagine, but God gave us an opportunity to get closer to God by eating maror. Tell me when you're ready.
Guess I'm not going in like that.
Ready? We don't need it until we get our blessing said. In English, we remember how bitter slavery was by fulfilling the commandment of eating the bitter herb. Yeah, this doesn't do justice to how bitter slavery was, but we still do it, and then it reminds us, like smells can take you back to your childhood. Tastes can take us back to bitter experiences. Praised are you, our eternal God, who made us holy with your commandments and commanded us about eating maror. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Now eat it. Eat it and weep. Oh. Now we have a little story. You take some maror and you take some charoset and you put it on a matzah. You make a little sandwich, but you wait for the story. Here's some. Eat this one. All right, so we have to tell the story first. It's about the Earl of Sandwich, and he was playing pool, and he had to... Oh, no, it's not. It says, long before that. We remember the days when the temple stood in Jerusalem. And Rabbi Hillel, combined matzah and maror in a sandwich and ate them together to fulfill the teaching in Torah. It says, they shall eat it with matzah and maror. And so we eat that sandwich. And look, you're already in the book. How'd you do that? Page 18. You're already in the book. Now we eat our meal. If the kids are finished eating fast, who did the puzzles? Food is served. Who finished the puzzle? Did you finish? If you finished the puzzles, then pass it to somebody else. Pass it to another table. All 6 of them? You did all 6? Did you do 6 puzzles? You have to take it out and do another one, and take it out and you did all 6? Here comes your food. All right, let me tell you something important about the food. You are going to get a big thing of matzah balls. Matzah balls go into the soup bowls, and then there's going to be a white carafe that's going to have the soup part. So the matzah ball goes into the soup. It's not supposed to be eaten dry. You're not going to get ketchup with it. It's not going to be like that. And you are going to have some gefilte fish. It's good with haroset, the maror. We okay? And we've got some eggs. It's traditional to start your meal with eggs and gefilte fish. And we're also getting, what's the other thing? Eggs and, what's next? Eggs and chopped liver. It's chopped liver. Chopped liver. What am I, chopped liver? Nope, it's coming onto your plate. Chopped liver and eggs and the gefilte fish. That's your first course. Family style.
I heard that joke when I was a kid. Too much again for us in a good.
Any child who finishes eating all of their courses, come to me when you're finished. Before you can look for the afikoman, you've got to come to me.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't protected. Last year, my Yes, we were.
Last year you were here.
Yeah,
So-
we eat all the chocolate.
You were around and taking everyone's chopped liver. Remember that?
So what happened to chopped liver? I guess you gotta have, you really ought to serve a lipitor with it. What do you think, chopped liver?
That's coming.
I've never understood the phrase, what a mixed up. It's good. No, it means it's not everything.
Eggs.
No, that's the good thing. The muscle soups come from white eggs.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Stuff right here, boy.
Muscle soup will be before the dinner. This is the appetizer.
There you go.
That's the ground up eggs.
There you go.
It's weird, have we never had eggs before? I don't remember what we had.
I don't remember having eggs in the state.
No, I don't either.
Well, I think it's just the, I don't know, it's the hard-boiled egg.
So like a hard-boiled egg? They just ground these up.
It's the
We're just
hard-boiled
like a
egg.
hard-boiled egg.
They just ground that up.
Actually, you know, eat a damaged taste eggs.
Yeah, really.
You know, now,
For all we know, that could be the fake eggs.
The fake egg.
Never seen them.
Michelle, is that enough for you?
So actually,
We bought a lot of eggs.
Really? What is it?
that's a good, you know, I'm kind of, yeah. Let me get a little bit closer. You know, I'm kind of surprised we got all these eggs because a dozen eggs almost the price of it's almost the price of a cup of Starbucks coffee.
Look at Bowser things like get her something really special this year, and he's got like hearts of eggs and
Yeah.
flowers.
We need the horseradish.
I think, yeah, I have one right here.
Passover. You know your number here? In Brooklyn, people used to make their own chopped liver, chopped egg, and
We're good. Yeah.
we used to make their own gefilte fish.
Really?
My grandmother,
And a Lipitor.
my grandmother used to make her own gefilte fish. This was customary. This was part of it. So in order to make sure they'd be fresh, you gotta get the part. You gotta get a couple of days before Passover. So what they do is they just put the part in the bathroom. And then the kids look, they didn't have to take a bath. The part was the bathtub.
They bought the live fish and they killed it.
Yep. Remember the same story, right?
That's right.
No, that's it.
All that work for just
Yeah.
Oh.
My mom, who did not grow up Jewish, and was born and raised in Shreveport, made her own gefilte fish. She would get the fish from farmers and she had like a fish grinder.
Was it carp or was it catfish?
It was not catfish. I'm not sure what part, but it was not catfish. What? My grandmother.
Son's his mom.
She said she wasn't born Jewish. Yeah. She learned how to
That was in
gefilte fish,
Winsboro?
and she grew up in Shreveport.
Really?
Wow.
Maybe somehow or another related to the Pope.
Her last name was Pope.
Right.
At one time.
There were probably 5 there at one time.
There were just in Baxter. I read about the Baxter community. Yeah, from like the 1880s.
Did I get the chopped liver?
That was before Laney Wilson.
Use chopped liver, I
I was
guess.
gonna say, Laney Wilson
Janice
is when we just
must go to school.
Thank you so much.
I know, artists made it.
No, that was basket, not
Oh,
basket.
this did.
There's a sweet lady, she used to make it special. She's brave about it, and then she'd always make it sound.
So she was the mom of.
Brother, the two brothers. I don't remember the name.
Then was Mike.
She married.
The word is married to Ike.
That's not a piece of
So her husband.
Right.
I have missed chopped liver. I haven't had it since, I think, last month.
Here, right?
That's usually
Yeah.
You know,
Remember, I think I told you I went to
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Kenny and Ziggy's
Yeah.
and theirs. It was just not.
Ryan,
It was not as good as whenever I was having it. I love Kenny. Oh,
that
wanna go
was, what's his name's wife?
She used to marry to Jason.
Jason, okay, yeah.
Right. There we go.
Where's she at now? Still in California? Jason, excellent, Christina.
This is the one with you.
Well, that's not gonna work out.
Where's Jason?
He came back to Shreveport. Governor.
Is he young or older than John? Okay.
I'm about to knock this thing out real fast. What'd you say?
So that's a lot of chopped liver.
Yeah, that's a lot of chop. That's a lot of extra chop.
I like it.
It's a lot of liver.
They knew we were sitting at the table.
But we didn't have that much last year.
Now, I mean, with that bird flu going on, that's a lot of chicken.
That's a lot of chicken.
Thanks for reminding me, man.
Yeah, I'm doing the matzahs.
This is I'm much better now than I was.
My parents grew up eating so unhealthy.
It's terrible.
They used to take
Yours?
chicken fat.
Mine.
Oh, yeah.
Pig feet.
Big feet. They used to take chicken fat, spread it on bread.
Yeah.
Didn't they fry it first?
Yeah, they fried it first. Yeah.
They should have.
But by the same token, they were so much more active than we are, like functionally active.
They were
You know what I mean?
right.
So I mean, the balance there's so much destroyed.
There we go.
Look at you go. Look at you go.
I think
Gary, what's more of this?
No, I'm scared too.
You worry about your
Yeah,
cholesterol?
I don't want to see my arteries harden. This is one day. It's pretty good.
When it's available.
Except the lipid pen last week.
Might be the horseradish will cut it.
It'll cut it, right? Made you. It's almost like egg salad.
There's plenty more. There's the box off the table.
So it's just you and Tim on? You know, Tim,
currently in the middle of
go over stuff.
we're
Yes,
me and my group
Talk about LSU.
preparing for
Yes.
this.
I know it's sitting there.
All the time. Like a full tournament expo.
What? Oh my God.
Presenting yeah, so me and my friends were exhibitionists in this year's exhibition. We've been working on a device
A billion for that. I'll wait.
It sends it to a server
and
in my
build
house
on that.
in Bossier that runs an AI.
So I can look my
It
time
sends
back.
it over the internet to that server.
I promise
The
you,
server then
there's more than I
shows
didn't
the
do.
AI to
You know what I mean? Because I
give a
just don't
text
keep checking.
description
I'm not,
of what's in the
I don't like
image,
living my life by
and then it turns that into speech,
So I
and
was
then it sends that audio file back to the
we were
camera,
in Mexico City
plays it through the camera.
for some meeting
And the purpose of this is to
from
function as a camera
Tuesday
for
till
blind
this afternoon, or this morning. And
blind
one of the things we
to help
talked
them
about is AI.
get an
How it's
understanding of
going to
their
cut a
surroundings,
whole lot of that out.
what they're looking for.
You need to fix what's from the lawyer standpoint. You need to be focusing. People talk about attorney and counselor in law.
On that for the last
You need to
like
focus on that counselor in law for 6 weeks, 7 minutes. Yeah, I was gonna do it in like 2 seconds.
So have you used AI maps?
I'm using it, but not in a law practice. I was an encyclopedia kid.
Okay.
Then the next course is coming out. I was letting you know matzo balls are coming, and there are carafes to put the soup into the bowl with the matzo balls. Carafes are coming, and matzo balls are coming. That's our next course. So did you notice that your soup is made up of vegetables in one bowl and matzo balls in another bowl and your carafe of soup? So put them all together and you make matzo ball soup. Thank you very much. So once you're finished with your soup course, there is another course. The next course, third course, beef brisket, carrot souffle. Can you hear me? Your next course, beef brisket, carrot souffle, savory kugel, and asparagus. Just so you know what it is. And I should have told you that before so you didn't fill up on the gefilte fish and all that. Beef brisket, carrot souffle, savory kugel, and asparagus, and then there's also dessert. And then afikomen. Save room for afikomen. Brisket's coming out. If kids are finished eating, come to me for your instructions. If kids if kids are finished eating, come to me for instructions. That means kids like 4 years old and up. Come on to me for instructions if you're finished eating. Okay. Are the grown-ups almost done? The kids here playing. We're waiting for the grown-ups to tell me that they're ready. You almost done? Okay, tell me when you're ready to finish the Seder. Okay, we are almost done with our Seder. We still have a little bit more to do. So kids are saying in that corner for a minute, we found the afikomen, and that means we can finish. And before we finish, while your tables are getting cleaned off, get ready to get your last few cups of wine ready. We have to say a blessing. But before we say our blessing, while we're still thinking about the ends of our meal, I want to give a humongous thank you, especially to Marla and her team. Marla Hyman. Because she organized it. She cooked it. She made sure everything went smoothly. Perry helped a little. Jody helped a little. A lot of people came during the week. Not a lot. I mean, hundreds of people came to help. No. But I want to thank everybody who helped. But Marla did an amazing job. And in some ways, I want to tell you, I know how hard this was, not because of cooking. I never do the cooking for the Seders. But she's used to having, careful guys, stay in the corner over there, please. Wait. Oh, now we have froggies. The frogs are jumping everywhere. I want to remind everybody to be careful because there's a lot of frogs jumping around over there. Be careful. So we are on page 19. We're almost done. There's a few more things we have to do. The kids found the afikomen, and now they're playing with the frogs over there. Some of them have already won frog prizes. I'm sorry to tell you, but the teenagers had special prizes too, and nobody was playing, so I'll save them for next time, I guess. I had different kinds of things to do, different challenges for every age group. So on page 19 it says, when we say blessings, we're developing the art of appreciation and gratitude, thereby deepening our relationship with God. Remember I said every time we fulfill a mitzvah, it's an opportunity for connecting with God. So this is part of what we do, saying thank you for the food. A lot of people say they appreciate God and they appreciate the food before they eat. But there's a mitzvah that says we're supposed to say a blessing after we finish eating. And that blessing is supposed to be pages and pages long. But Rabbi Jana has boiled it down to one line. We're going to do this in English and in Hebrew. It goes like this. All living things need food. Try that. Living things need food. Thank you. Thank you, God. Source of food for all. We use that same melody for the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai hazan et hakol. Pour that next cup of wine. We're up to our third, but who's counting, right? Oh, yeah, right. Some of you have math skills like me. Raise the third cup of wine and say the blessing before drinking. We'll do it in English first, and then we'll sing it and we'll drink. Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pori hagafen. L'chaim. I think I got matzah in my wine. So then we have these cups. We have this beautiful wine cup. It's placed in the center of our table. It's waiting for our honored guest, Elijah the prophet. I'm going to fill it up and see if he shows up. Long ago, Elijah protected the Jews from an evil king and queen. He healed the sick and he helped the weak. When his days on earth were over, legend says Elijah rode up into the sky on a chariot of fire. They say he didn't die. All over the world, in every Jewish home, children, children, we're going to need you. Children, we need you. Children, we need you here. Open the door on Passover to invite Elijah to enter. Perhaps tonight he'll honor us and enter our place. Our hope makes a bridge between heaven and earth. I need some kids to come with me. Ready? Come here. Let's read this part. It says, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet, and he will turn the hearts of the parents to the children, and the hearts of the children to the parents before the coming of the great and awesome day of the eternal. And we're going to sing this song. Ready? Open the door. Open one door. Wait, the police officer is going to go out with you. Check to see who's out there, officers. Ready? Eliyahu Hanavi. Don't go far. Eliyahu HaTishbi. Come back here. Eliyahu. You're supposed to hold the door open for Elijah. Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu HaTishbi. Eliyahu. Eliyahu. Eliyahu HaGiladi. Let's check to see if he came in. Go in. Bimhera v'yamenu yavo eleinu im Mashiach ben David, im Mashiach ben David. You see him? Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu HaTishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu HaGiladi. You know, you sound better singing from the inside of the room than you did it from outside. I didn't think anybody was singing. Do you see Elijah? Wow. What? Elijah's dressed like a police officer? It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me at all. Because it said that in each generation, Elijah the prophet returns disguised as a poor stranger. Well, he's not a stranger. Officer Chris isn't a stranger. He knows by the way people treat him whether the world is ready for the Messiah. Do you think we're ready yet? Elijah? Yeah. All right, we have another special cup here. There's a tradition that Miriam the prophet helped to sustain the spirits of the children of Israel in Egypt during the long journey through the desert to the promised land. Miriam's well followed the children of Israel through the wilderness and provided water for drinking. Let's remember her at our Seder. We have a glass of wine here, a glass of water. That's Miriam's glass. She can get refreshed. Everybody else is drinking water. We have to be careful because this is the salt water. Don't drink that one. Okay, be careful about that one. But pour another cup of wine for yourself, not for Elijah this time. Fourth cup, guys, we're getting there. Fourth cup. We drink the fourth cup of wine as we conclude our Seder with hope and joy. We know we are partners with God to bring freedom to all who are captive, and we bring peace to our world. That's our job now. Raise the fourth cup of wine and say the blessing before drinking. We say it in English first. Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim, everybody. So now let's say this together at the bottom. This Seder is complete. It's been prepared according to the guidelines of our traditions. We hope that, even if it wasn't perfect, the insights we have gained inspire us to continue to pursue freedom and enhance our connection to our people, our traditions, and our faith. L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem. Before we leave, we're going to sing some songs. Chad Gadya, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya. Then came the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya. Then came the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya. Then came the... I don't want to do this. This is too sad. Let's do another one. We'll do it first in Hebrew. Max, where are you? Echad mi yodea.
Echad ani yodea.
Echad Eloheinu, 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 Shebashamayim uba'aretz, Shnayim yodea,
Shnayim, ani yod-
Shnei luchot habrit, Echad Eloheinu, 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 Shebashamayim uba'aretz. All right, how about in English? Who knows one?
I know one.
One is God in heaven and on earth. Who knows two?
I know two.
What's two?
Two are the
You can make it
tablets
up. You don't have to use the book. Or is there something in Jewish tradition that's two? Two are the tablets of the covenant. One is God in heaven and on earth. How about a three? Do you know a three thing? Who knows three? I know three. Three is the number of the patriarchs. Two is the number of them. Two are the tablets of the covenant. One is God in heaven and on earth. Who knows four? What's four? Four is the number of the matriarchs. Three is the number of the patriarchs. Two are the tablets of the covenant. One is God in heaven and on earth. So the officers are not going to let you drive home unless you can keep up with these songs. That's the test. That's our test, right? Okay. Who knows five? There are 5 books in the Torah. General, electric, lights, never dim. 5 books in the Torah. All right, we did Chad Gadya. We did Who Knows One. Did you find all the things? Then say thank you, everybody. Thank Marla again, please. It was delicious. We can thank our clean cooking stuff. Thank you to, we had a whole team of people who came and put the tables up. I'm not sure how we're going to get our tables down in time for pickleball, but I want to remind you that Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, right over here, we're going to have pickleball, and right over there, we're going to have mahjong. Friday night, we have services again. It's going to be the last day of Pesach. For us, we do 7 days, which means we have a Yizkor as part of our service, and we'll have Yizkor as part of Saturday morning service. And if you're into this kind of thing, we're going to be talking about Song of Songs on Saturday morning on Zoom. You could stay cozy in your pajamas and talk Song of Songs. 9:45 and 11 o'clock is Yizkor. Please remember, the Holocaust Remembrance Service is at 3 o'clock on the 27th of April. It's next door. And May 4th is our congregational meeting. We get to take our picture and things. I think that covers it. Please be safe going home. Have a wonderful, happy, crummy Passover. Thank you so much. Thanks for playing along. Anybody who wants to sing the songs we skipped, just let me know. Come on over here. And if the grown-ups want to play with the frogs, I have more frogs for everybody to play with if you want. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Max, for tech support.